Ochoyo sampo pagyo trashi pa tuche tempe trinle yarngoda pege drolora zampe zepa pande lame shab solvade Omo a guru vajradara sumatimo nishasane Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Oma Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Oma Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Sarva Siddhi Hum Oma Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Oma Guru Vajradara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Oma Guru Vajradar Sumati Munisha Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dhagi Jitsun Lama Tuche Che Nyamda Dala Tuche Sikso So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Uyon Sunge Nawa Tsedo So Tsechi Nyingne Sowa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Visu Lekshune Yila Sambe Dede Malupa Keme Lunge Drupra Jinge Lo Tsoni Sodan Dikdun Shabetse Dunge Namge Yisu Lekshune Lapchen Tsoni Yonsu Zopad Chera Nidun Chamra Jinge Lo Chanchu Parge Ninsen Tukuntu Niu Peme Sudru Lekshune Chanchu Drube Gegen Kunshishi Tungen De La Drupra Jinge Dagi Lona Chela Chokpa Dan Chemin Samjur Ngemba Shiwa Dan Chedan Tumbe Dede Malupa Beme Lungi Drupra Jinge Lo Dorna Tingne Tsirava Tamche Dan Techi Pardu Neka Tamche Tu Rese Kyamne Lama Keleme Tukche Chingi Dala Sikso So Gongyab Drewe Nyamda Dachala Chetsun Lame Tukche Rab Gongne Kuda Sunge Nawa Drame Tu Nyam Sunyongwe Kesan Tobra Sho Kewa Kuntu Yanda Lama Da Drame Cheki Pela Longche Chi Sada Lamge Yendera Change Kopa Nyur Tobe Sho Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Lo Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Ngam Pakyuke Tudan Dagi Tün Yerme Çiktu Chinge Lo Makyuke Kudan Dagi Lo Makyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Makyuke Tudan Dagi Tün Yerme Çiktu Chinge Lo Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha Sashipeki Choshemeto Chamare Ravalingashi Nidegem Padi Sangye Shintu Mikte Ulwarki Drokunam Da Shingla Chöpar Shoyedam Guru Ratna Mindrala Kam Niryatayami Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam Lai Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapso Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Drupar Shua Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapso Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchara Sangye Drupara Shua Sangye Chodan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchara Sangye Drupara Shua. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione. Con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni, possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Haye ke dan ledan nejin ke roda da mi ke nam dan rowa kun ke janam che champa thamche ke to dagi chete to thamche ke to dagi chete. Buongiorno. Good afternoon. In questi giorni parlerò in inglese per diverse ragioni. In realtà preferirei parlare in nessuna lingua, no? Sarebbe bello stare in silenzio e poi ci capiamo, no? Però ci tocca verbalizzare le cose, far uscire i suoni dalla bocca. E quindi però scelgo di parlare questa volta in inglese perché durante l'anno principalmente facciamo gli insegnamenti in italiano, quindi questa volta dando un po' di attenzione particolare per chi viene da più lontano, faremo in inglese con la traduzione simultanea in italiano. Ok? So this time the teachings will be in English, especially giving some special care and attention for those coming a little bit from far. And I would prefer to be able, if we could just communicate by being in the presence of each other in silence. No, it would be so nice if we simply could sit and communicate without needing to emanate sounds. I think I would prefer, but still we need to do it this way. So we need to choose a language also, because if we had no need of sound, I think we had also no issue with language. Anyhow, this is just stupid thoughts. Qualcuno mi porta un bicchiere per piacere. Okay. So, where to start from? I will start from a point which I have been stressing a lot in the recent period, which for me it's very important, but it's a basic concept that actually it helps us to understand so many things. Which, when it says that wherever there is interaction, inevitably there is transformation. Okay? So the first question which makes to my mind is, okay, if wherever there is interaction, there is transformation, is the interaction one way or is the interaction two ways? Let's say we are together as we interact. You are the only one to transform, or I also transform. It's mutual, right? So when I take one other concept, which it's something we could say long time debating and discussing, but past, present, and future. The first moment and the second moment, they interact, no? What I am doing now, I am interacting and I'm creating transformation in which what is coming. The past interacts with the present and in a way also with the future. It's a one-way interaction or is it a two-way interaction? Okay, just one question. This last week, I had a wonderful opportunity to pass some time with the young children during our summer camp. And a really nice thing of teaching children, of talking to children, is that we need to go directly to the point in a simple way. No? So there were a few points that we touched together with the children that I like to bring to also here, because I think finally we need the same stuff, you know. The first question which I brought to the kids, which was the object of reflection the first day, was a question that I think many scientists are still nowadays debating and looking for an answer. But it's an important question that we need to make for ourselves, which is, what is the mind? What is our mind? Because if we ask ourselves, do we have a mind? What would we say? Yes, but what is the mind? Okay. The mind is that through which we experience reality. Okay? So, if the mind is that through which we experience reality, it means that reality is not something objective, but is something subjective through the mind. Can we experience reality independently of our mind? Question. I don't think so. But I don't have the ultimate answer. Huh? Okay. And this is one first point which I think we really need to start thinking, because when we see clearly that we are not able to experience reality through independently of our mind, which goes together with our body, it comes the point that we see how important is our mind. And making it very simple, we see that we have two realities that, if we go to look deeper, and finally we see that they are non-dual, but just to have a first understanding, let's look at it from a dualistic point of view. We have an external reality, okay, which is the place where we are, the people we meet, the situations we go through, the temperature we experience, and everything, no? If I play the bell, the sound you listen, we can very easily say that all this exists, right? And it is external, it's there. Because each one of you can listen to the bell, correct? So now, together with that external reality, there is also an internal reality. The internal experience, the internal reality is, how do I listen to the sound? Am I happy? Am I sad? Do I see it as a beautiful sound, as an ugly sound? Does it last long? Does it last short? We can have so many different variables and different ways to which we actually understand and perceive the same object. Is this clear for us? Okay. So we could say clearly that we have an external reality and we have an internal reality. Okay? Then I am oversimplifying now to make it easy in the beginning. after we could go, and maybe in some days we could go on and debate more about it, and we can go deeper and deeper, and we will see finally that external reality doesn't exist independently of the internal reality and vice versa, so finally there is no this dualistic thing. But that's another moment. For this moment, let's say that we have two realities, external reality and internal reality. We start by looking at these two. Okay. And I think it's quite clear, right? Okay. So, right now, as we are living this very right moment, can we recognize an external reality? We are all experiencing the same temperature. We experience it in a different way, but we are in the same environment, right? We are looking at the same colors, at the same place. You can listen to the sound of the same bell. Okay? We are in the same place. So let's say, making it simple, we could say that yes, without going into deep analysis, we are experiencing the same external reality. Okay? Now, in the present moment, this reality that we experience it through our internal reality. Which means, even though we are breathing apparently the same air, and we're listening to the same sound, and we see the same images, and we experience the same temperature, and so on, we all experience it in a different way. The emotions that each one of us have is different. The value that we attribute to each thing is different. The way how we experience it is different. So in the very right moment, we could say that the present is made of two parts, the external reality and the internal reality. Okay? Now, the past. The past, what is the past? This is another question we did with the kids. They were from 6 to, their age was, so no, they were from 8 or 9 to 13, something like that. And so the next other question we put together was, what is the past? What is now of the past? What does exist of the past? When we talk about past, what is there? We have memories, right? And when I said this, there was one kid that had the day before hurt his knee. So he said, oh, this is also part of the past. Showing, no? Which in a way is true in the sense that in the present, we hold on ourselves the marks of what we did before. So the past is also being shown and seen in our body, in our emotions. Everywhere we have marks of the past. Okay, what we are now is the result of everything that we did before. It's a constant transformation of it. But what does exist of the past right now, other than the present that is a result of the past, for sure? It's basically our memory. So we could say that where does the past exist, other than the results of the actions and interactions of the past in the present? Where else does the past exist? In our mind. Okay? Now, can we establish that we have two different pasts, an external past and an internal past? Okay, yesterday I have been to a place that we could call an external past, and as I was in that place, I perceived it in this way, I had that emotion, and so on, and I had also an internal past. Okay? So, when we look at about this external reality and internal reality, are they connected or they are completely separated? One has nothing to do with the other. First of all, how do we perceive it non-conceptually, without analyzing, without bringing our mind into a philosophical thought of whatever? In our daily experience, when we have our own emotions and feelings and perception of reality, what comes first, the egg or the chicken? What I feel is a result of what is happening, or the way how I experience or how I see things is a result of what I have inside of me. Okay, it's not so simple, the answer. But let's start by looking, first of all, at one dynamic. When we are very small, actually when we are still very, very, very small, a baby, we are working a lot. Our mind is constantly looking and learning and understanding. I don't know why we have this idea that babies are stupid. But actually, they do much more mental work than we do. You know, they're learning so much. Because basically, when we are small, we take a lot of information and we start to catalog inside of us. We start to index the reality that we experience. And we start saying, this is this, that is that, that is that, and we learn and we look, we learn by example, we learn by experience, we learn by, how do you call it in English, comparison and relation between one related with the other, and so on. Let's say that I listen to the sound once, and someone comes and tells me, oh, that's the sound of a Tibetan singing bowl, a bell. Ah, okay. Next time I listen to the same sound, what I do? I already know the sound. So I just need to reconnect to a knowledge that I already have. And I will just go and I say, okay, that's the sound of a bell. Why? Because I have already listened to it before. I have already it indexed inside my mind. So we look at the present through the knowledge and experience that we have accumulated in the past. Is this clear? And as we go along in our life, the more we index stuff and the more we say this is this, that is that, the less we are able to have a new understanding about things. The more we think we already know things. So the more we make our own reality solid and objective, the way how we perceive it. Okay? Now, what happened if the first time that I listened to the sound of a bell, someone hit my head? It was painful. Not only physically, but emotionally, it was a difficult moment. When I listen to the same sound again, do I connect to that feeling? Yes. I give you a very, very basic example that I gave many times, but for me it was touching somehow. Many years ago, I was in Milan, more or less this time of the year. It was summer. I just remember it was really hot. And I was on the Wednesday giving teachings in Milan, and then at one moment I was going to drink water. I was very thirsty. And then as I touched the water, I said, oh, that's strange. The water was extremely salty. I said, what happens? Okay, I waited the end of the teaching. I didn't want to make anyone upset during the time of the teaching, oh, what is happening here or that. When finished, I don't remember who was there. I just asked, oh, please come here. Can you check this water? I said, why? It's a bit strange. And then they tried the water and said, but what happened? No? And making a long story short, one of our friends was making a treatment for skin disease of psoriasis. And she brought water from the sea. But she was using the same bottles, the bottles of the same type of mineral water that they had in the center. So someone saw the bottle there and made no distinction between the one that was with seawater or normal mineral water. Okay, and just pour the water. Okay, absolutely here, nothing special about the story. What is special is that the next week when I went back, the people were taking care, they came to me and said, Lama, we checked the water.
Don't worry, this time it's not salty, it's no seawater. We tried ourselves, we checked the bottle, everything is fine. So I had a glass in my hand. Did I have any doubt that this water was a good water? No. I had no doubt whatsoever. I had full trust in what they had just told me. But still, I couldn't drink the water without trying it first. I needed to take a small sip. Okay. You know, we are incapable of experiencing the present independently of our experiences of the past. We are incapable. And as long as we have stuff like this, that the water is salty, that's not a big deal. But when we start to feel abandoned, and when we start to have experiences of loneliness, and of particular other types of negative emotions, and so on, it's like I put the red lenses of sadness, and then when I go to the present moment, and I have a similar thing, and I connect, I see the present through that lenses of sadness. Okay. So there is a very basic concept that is important for us. After we understand what all this have to do with the practice of self-healing, okay? The name itself already says it's important to remind ourselves that the past is past. It's gone. But still there is something that remains, that is present in the present moment from what happened in the past. For example, when someone goes through a particular trauma, from my understanding, it's not so much important to go back and understand exactly what happened. The important is how that person experienced it. Because what remains now of the past is not what happened, it's what you experienced, what is in your memory, how you went through it. Okay? So, one of the very important aspects is, for us, really, we need to make peace with our past. Unless we are able to be in peace with our own past, we are going to continue to propose it in the present and in the future. You know? And we are going just to go on loop and repeat the same dynamics again and again and again and again. And we can stay the whole day here saying again and again and again and again. Okay? As I look around, I think, we are all not children anymore, right? Which maybe is a good thing from one way, but is a very bad thing from another. Because what happens is that our dynamics are already quite solid. Our own idea of what is reality, it's quite solid. Even if we say, no, I am not, I am flexible, not true. Maybe mentally we try to be flexible, but what is reality? We are all quite very much stuck into our own paradigm. And it's not so simple to change it. It's very much possible, but it takes effort. So one important thing is we need to make peace with our past. So that there are many benefits, but one of the benefits is that we can stop applying that experience of the past into the present, and we can stop seeing the present through that filters, through the lenses of what have happened before. To do that, we need to remind ourselves that the past is past, but we need to acknowledge what are the wounds that past experience have created. These wounds are not part of the past. The wounds are part of the present. They are right now here. So we need to acknowledge the wounds, give space to take care of them, but understand that it's already gone, it's finished. So what I have now, it's a memory, and I have the wound that was created by the memory of what happened before. But I think it's gone. Okay. And sometimes I listen, some people saying, oh yes, yes, I know that I act like this now and it's not okay the way how I do now, but you have not seen my father. You have not seen my mother. When I was a child, this happened and that happened and this and that and so on. And I tell you one thing, who here in this room have no traumas? No one. Who didn't go through difficult situations? No one. But the point is that acknowledging that we went through difficult stuff, it's not enough. Because if we continue in the present to victimize ourselves from what happened in the past and to justify our behavior and our paradigm and our dynamics in the present, simply we do not evolve. We stay in that loop. Okay? And I don't want to do that. And I think no one here truly wants to do that. So one of the first steps on our spiritual path, on our process of self-healing, which it's a bit hard to say in these words, but it's the most direct way I know how to say it, is all of us, we must truly, sincerely stop to victimize ourselves. Because, yes, I went through difficult situations. Yes, but they are finished. There are new ones, sure. But that ones are gone. Now I need to deal with what I have. And there is no point. I can blame the whole world. Or I can blame one person and the whole world can say, yes, you are right, that person was wrong. And then now, so what? Does that take away my wound? No. So I need to take care of my wound. I need to find ways how to acknowledge it and how to heal it. And one of the parts of this is making an effort to stop nourishing that dynamics that are based on our experiences of the past. So to understand, the past is past. The past is gone. Okay, so what I have is a memory of something that I experienced before. And whatever is left from it, the wounds that are there, this I need to go through the process. That's why inside the practice of self-healing we do Shuddha, Shuddha, Soha. We do the practices of purification. We need to put that away. Because when we do the practices to eliminate our negativities and so on, what do we put aside? Not what have happened, not what is happening. We need to put aside, we need to eliminate the wounds that have been created. The sadness, the anger, the anxiety, the fear, and so on. If we want to call the traumas, whatever, that's what we need to acknowledge that it is there. So, I allow myself to let it go. And sometimes it's really difficult. I don't know how to put it in clear words. Let's try. Let's put it in this way. Someone hurted me. That's how I experience it. I feel that at a certain point in my life, someone acted in a way that was really harmful to me. And I am a victim of that person-like attitude. Okay? Now, in the moment that I acknowledge that the past is gone, And I simply want to disconnect myself, to deconstruct that dynamic and to disconnect myself from that feeling of sadness, of fear, or whatever is coming from that. It's interesting enough, there is quite a strong attachment to that state. Because letting it go, it means somewhere in our stupid mind, sorry to say in this way, at least that of some of us at least, it means like as if we are giving the victory to the other. After all you did, I let it go. Can you connect to that? So what happened? I hold it on, I keep repeating it. Yes, you will see, I need to suffer to show to the universe, to the world, how bad you were. So if I stop suffering, it means that it was not that bad. You know? And finally, who is suffering? Ourselves. So it takes quite a lot, actually, of maturity to be able to be in peace with our own past. To be able to look to our past without hiding anything. For example, sometimes, this is another dynamic which is quite difficult. There are situations in which we suffered, but they are connected to people that there were many situations that were very nice and positive also. And we have the tendency to generalize it. If you did good things to me, you are a good person, and I must love you. If you did bad things to me, you are a bad person, and I must hate you. What happens when the good person does bad things? I try to justify the bad things. Or I say he's not a good person anymore. Now tell me, have your parents ever done anything bad to you? Willingly or not? Have the interaction with them ever been negative on any level? I'm sure yes. You know, I don't think anyone here ever had a father or a mother that never hurt you in a way or in another through their actions, willingly or not, with awareness or without. Does this make them a bad person? No. Because the point is that not judging the person, but judging the actions. So we need to put things together and say one thing is one thing, another thing is another thing. And yes, you did so many nice things to me, you were so kind to me, and I am grateful for all that kindness that you had to me. And there were some actions that you did which were very harmful to me, and I really don't like that actions, and I am against what you did, the action, but not the person. Because this helps us to find some balance. Okay? I'm just saying all of this because when we say be in peace with your past, it's not so obvious. There are so many dynamics that comes together. Okay? But unless we are able to be in peace with our past, difficultly we are able to move forward towards the future clearly and to experience the present in a more positive way. We have the tendency to repeat. So that's part of what we call practices of purification. That's part of letting go this identity in which we hold to the I and the my, I am like this and like that. We let it go. And every day, we need to be able to recognize which were the tensions that were created and to let them go. Don't be attached to your own suffering. Let it go. Because right now, where does the past exist in you? Or in me? In our mind. Because what have happened have finished. It's gone. But there is a part which remains in our memory, which remains in our physical memory, emotional memory, mental memory. It's there. So there is where we need to deal with it. So, once we are able gradually to purify the negativities as we go along the path, possibly daily, we recognize the tensions that are there, and we disconnect from it. We say, okay, I don't need it to myself. Whatever have happened, it's finished. Now, I need to clean. It's like we need to have a daily shower. Similar to that, we need every day to do the part of what we call the practices of purification. Okay? To be in peace with our past. That's something that, I repeat once again, it's truly important. The other part is that once we are in peace with the past, then we can have a better possibility of seeing and experiencing the present more clearly. In the present, we will see the dynamics coming from the past, and we can recognize them and say, okay, I have this tendency, I am about to shout, I have that thing, I am attachment here, I have aversion there, I have this and have that, but a lot of this is just habits from the past. And we start to see how many filters we place between ourselves and what we are experiencing, which are accumulated in our life. All sorts of filters. Conceptual filters, which are given us by the context of society, of education, of religion, of so many stuff. We add filters. Emotional filters of our own experiences. We add up filters. I don't know how much we are able to perceive something without filters, but at least we need to be aware that we have many filters on. That's at least something we need to do. And the filters that we see that are harmful, we need slowly to stop nourishing them and put them away. And the positive filters, we need to nourish them and cultivate them. Okay? Now, where does the future lies in the present moment? What is the future? For example, do you expect to have dinner today? Me, yes. I don't know for each one of you, but I imagine so, no? Okay, more specific, do you expect to sleep at some point? To go to bed? Yes, no? Can you imagine a little bit the place where you're going to sleep? Okay? So that's future. Future is pure imagination. But it's that imagination that allows us to do the necessary things in order for that imagination to become present reality. Because if I don't imagine, okay, I need to go to sleep at my house, I would just allow things, I would just be in the present, like reacting to what is happening. And then when I feel sleepy, I sleep wherever I am. What allows me to go home and to sleep home and to do all of that is I have an idea of what I want. And that mental image, that projection, which we call future, it's what gives me the direction at the present moment. It's like when we start a journey. If we know where we want to go, this allows us to take one way or another, to check the road, to understand,
to protect, to put the right amount of fuel, and so on. We can do this by knowing where we want to go. Okay? So the future is actually very important because the future is directing ourselves. And here now we have a big issue. How many futures do we have? One or two? In the same way of past. How many past did we have and present? Two. External and internal. How many futures we can have? Can we say there is an external future and an internal future? I can say, I am going to bed tonight. That's part of my external future. But in which state of mind am I going to bed tonight? That's my internal future. I don't know, is it clear? The main issue here is that most of the times we experience our inner reality as if it was a simple reaction of the external reality. Instead, what we experience, how we experience, it's happening from within. So when I look upon my future and I ask myself, what do I want to do? Which is the most common question. Since we are small kids, what people ask us is what do we want to do, to become. Become in the sense, do you want to be a doctor or you want to be a lawyer? But it's basically, what do we want to do? When we think about the day of tomorrow, when we think about future, what comes mainly to our mind? What do we want to be or what do we want to do? In the sense, do we think about more external reality or internal reality? Mostly external. And we end up experiencing and seeing our internal reality as a result of the external reality. Because what we really want is to be satisfied, to feel happy, to be in peace, to feel joy, and so on. That's what we want, right? Truly speaking, we don't really care where we are, with whom we are, what we are doing, as long as we are happy. As long as we feel satisfied. Right? But we make this connection so strong with what happens outside that we project our whole life outside. Instead, it is important for us to give a lot of importance, to give weight to our internal present and future. And the point is, do we have any control of what is going to happen tomorrow? Does any one of us have any real control? What is going to happen? Who are we going to meet? How things are going to go? We have zero control. Zero. I'm sorry to put it in this way. But when I look upon myself, I don't see myself having real control of what is happening around me. To think that, for me, it appears to be so arrogant. Because the variables are so many. But there is one thing in which I have a little bit higher level of control, which is how I will experience. So what will happen, I don't know. I can predict somehow, up to a certain level. Okay, I can tell you, yes, tomorrow the sun will rise. But how will be the weather? I imagine warmer every day. We are in summer. I don't think we'll get snow tomorrow, right? But truly, we don't have control of what happens, of what doesn't happen. We don't know who we will meet, how will be our interactions. We have no real control of what is outside. But we have a much higher level of control of how we experience whatever happens. So I can say, okay, what will happen, I don't know, but
I can tell you that I will be patient. I will act with love. I will apply awareness. I will not allow myself to react in anger or in aggressiveness, with violence. These are conscious choices that we can make, in which we are directing who do I want to be internally, more than what happens outside. Okay. So, we need to build up our future, external and internal future. We need to allow ourselves to dream, to think, who do I want to be? 10 years from now, who do I want to be? From inside to outside, who do I want to be? I don't know if you have a clear answer. Okay. But it's really important, because this is what allows us to give a certain direction. Because in the same way that if I want to reach a certain place, I need to walk in a certain direction. If I want to reach a certain state of mind, I need to cultivate that state of mind. It's not going to come out of nothing. Okay. So, it's not easy, because how can I give a direction to myself of a place that I even don't know if it exists or not? How can I say to me, I want to go there, but what is there? It's like, let's say that we are in jail. But we were born in jail, and we have no memory or whatsoever what is not being in jail. And everyone that we know has been in jail since they remember. So, someone comes and says, oh, you need to be able to think beyond it. You need to be able to go beyond being in jail. And I say, but how can I imagine something out, because I don't know it? So I end up just taking care of enjoying it in the best way I can, avoiding the difficulties in the best way I can. And I'm not able to look really beyond. To be able to look beyond, I need someone that has been out of jail, that is able to look to me and speak my language and say, look, you see that far away big walls behind there is another reality, where you can be free, this and that, and can tell me all the beauties of what is outside that fences of the jail. And once the person is showing me that, in the moment that I truly believe, and I develop this strong desire, I create my future. Then I start to walk towards it. And I can go through hardships, I can do all sorts of things in order to get there. But if we don't have a clear picture of where we want to go, what do we want to be, we end up simply reacting to our daily issues. And today is one thing, tomorrow is another, and we are very good in making ourselves busy. And we have so many little daily things that truly are not so important, but we make them as if they were the most important thing in the whole universe. Very often, because I'm sorry to put in these words, otherwise we have no idea what else to do. Because we have no direction where to go. And what happened very often, if we have no problem to solve, no particular distraction, no particular entertainment, and no problem to solve, we are just there, we get bored. We don't know what to do. We don't know where to put our energy. Why? Because we have no direction. We are lost. Lost not in the sense that we don't know where we are. Lost in the sense we have no idea where we are going or even where we want to go. I'm sorry if I am so direct. Okay? And someone may say, no, Lama, I know where I want to go. I want to become a Buddha. Tell me, what is a Buddha? Do you wake up in the morning and you say, I want to be a Buddha? You know? Yes, I know, I need to pay my taxes and I need to do this, yes, but I want to be a Buddha. That's the main thing in everything. If you do, that's quite a lot. And if you have clarity to yourself about what is being a Buddha, other than a word inside a Buddhist context. So, truly, what do we want? And this is something that we need to build up. This is one of the most fundamental aspects, because in the moment that we have clarity of what do I want, who I want to be, where do I want to go, what do I want, then naturally we start to develop more and more passion for it. And the more we have passion for it, the more we are able to go for it without any sort of, it's the opposite of commitment, without any sorts of, not only excuses, but, we go fully, with our full energy into it. There is no such thing, oh yes, but when, how, let's see. We go for it with our full energy. But to do that, we need passion. We need desire. We need this thing that it goes beyond our conceptual thoughts. It's deep inside of us. I want it, I need it, I'm not able to do without it. There is no point not being there, not going in that direction. It's something that really must come strong into us. And this is something that we need to build up. It's not something that is automatic. Okay? Because the alternative, which is not that bad, but it's bad, but not that bad. The alternative is just to live our life in a sort of positive survival mode. We do something to be a good person. I am a Buddhist, so I need to be a nice person. Because to satisfy my own ego, I need to be a good Buddhist. So it's not that I am kind to people because I care about people, it's because I need to be a kind person. No? I don't know, is it clear the difference? Okay? So we go into survival mode, we are there, one problem happened, we solve it here, another thing to solve, it happens there. One pleasure here, we experience the pleasure, we nourish a little bit the ego here, we nourish a little bit the ego there. One problem, another problem, it keeps us alive having problems, and like this go on. When we don't have a problem, we make one, and life goes by. One day we get old, we forget about everything. And then suddenly we just repeat the dynamics that we have created during our lifetime, because that's what happened. The older we get, the more we go into loop, in a good and in a bad sense. And then one day we die. And then who knows what comes after, We can give many explanations, but we will see. The other possibility is we say, okay, life is short. Truly, we don't know how much we are going to live. And more than that, we do have a very particular opportunity. A very, very unique opportunity. Which for me is one of the most amazing things. We have the opportunity of being able to go hand by hand, to listen, to allow someone to show us what is beyond the fences. We are able to be guided to something that is beyond our own paradigm. But in a way that we are able somehow to connect and understand. And this opportunity, it's not so easy to repeat. There are basically 3 necessary conditions to make this life meaningful. Okay. First condition is we need to have the minimum necessarily materially. Unless we are already a very highly developed person on a spiritual level. But otherwise, if we don't have enough to eat, where is our mind? In hunger. If we are not living in a safe place, we are in fear. So, we need to have the basic material needs fulfilled. And I imagine that we all here do have them, right? Some of us have more resources, others have less resources, but I don't see anyone here going through famine. Going to sleep without knowing if tomorrow they're going to have food or not. Okay. So we have the minimum necessary, materially, or not. I think we have quite a bit more than the minimum necessary, but okay. The second condition, we say, okay, but that's normal. In this planet, what should be more or less the percentage of people that don't need to worry about their food? That have their survival somehow safe, secured, without needing truly to worry about it. 80% of the world population? 20? 30? I don't know. But I think it should be more or less around 30% of the world population. The other 70%, according to my understanding, are people that they need to worry daily about their own survival. So we are part of this minority, that we don't need to worry about it. But that's not enough, because the second condition necessarily is not only to have the minimum necessarily materially, we need someone to show us what is beyond our own view. We need someone to show us the path. Otherwise, we remain in our own loop of survival. It's like the old Roman saying that the people need bread and pizza and circus. Pane e circus, no? Okay, we could say nowadays pizza and Netflix, you know? And then life goes on. We can see very clearly in a lot of people nowadays, especially the most younger generation, when you talk around, when you look and when you see what's the purpose of life? To enjoy. So I work in order to be able to pay what I want and to enjoy myself. So basically life is a goal by itself, it's an end in itself. And we end up simply in a loop. You know, I want some more, and then I get, then I want more again, then it's not enough, and we go into this loop. Another days, I want to talk more about that loop in another moment. But the point now is that very often we are not able to go beyond because we have no one that is able to show us. Once I read in a research, I don't remember exactly where, that more than 90% of our thoughts are repetitions of the previous thoughts. And I fully agree. I would say 99% of our thoughts are repetition of the previous thoughts. Because interaction brings transformation. And if we do not really interact with something different, we remain into the same, we will remain into the same paradigm. So we need someone that comes and say to us, look, there is something else. And that's not obvious. For example, what we have just said before, that there is an external reality and an internal reality, and we experience the external reality through the internal reality. How obvious is that? Once you know it, it's obvious, it's like that. But from all the people that you know,
what is the percentage of people that takes it seriously into their own life? 80%? 20? Maybe less. And how much is the percentage of people that leave their inside emotions and experiences as a simple result of what is happening outside? It's most of us, or not? So, actually, having someone that is showing us clearly a path of transformation, of a coherent view of reality, showing a path that helps us to go beyond our own selfishness and suffering and so on, it's not at all obvious. That's the second condition. For example, what is the normal standards of interaction that we have in society? Being altruistic or being selfish? What's the standard? What is the normal? No? Where we go, mostly people are altruistic or selfish? Selfish, right? But if we live in a context where most of the people are always selfish, that's what we know, that's what we have always seen. But when we meet someone that is altruistic truly, not just by words, truly, when we meet someone that is able to love in a pure way, this is able to show us that that is possible. It opens our mind, it opens our heart to a different reality. And that's the second condition, having someone that shows us the path, not only by knowledge, but by experience, by example. And that's quite rare. It's not obvious. But for whatever reason, I have it, we all have it here. It's not obvious. And I'm not saying about Buddhism, it's the only key solution. No, only Buddhism. I'm not saying that. Okay? Third necessary condition, the joy to practice. Having joy to put into practice the teachings and the path. That's a little bit more difficult, in a way, but we have it also, otherwise we would not be here. So we have these three conditions. How common are they? If we think about the population of this planet, if we try to think about how many people have these three conditions, very few, or not? There are many people that are religious, but still don't have these three conditions. Because very often, we can be inside religion, but we can be as mundane as anything else. We're not even looking at our inner reality. We're not even taking responsibility of our actions. We are just hoping someone to solve our problems. I'm talking about something else. So, for whatever reasons, we do have these conditions. So what shall we do? Shall we make a good use of them, or shall we let them pass? So, first of all, these conditions are difficult to find. Second, they are powerful. They are very powerful. Because if we make a good use of them, we are able to change our deeper dynamics. We are able to cultivate our qualities, allowing us to reach a state of stability, of satisfaction. It's possible even to stop our own cycle of suffering. It's not immediate, but it's possible through these conditions. So it's something very special. So what do we do once we have these conditions? Geshe Shewanchuk made the following example. Geshe Shewanchuk was one of the gurus of Lama Michel Rinpoche, also my guru.
And in one of his books, he says, imagine you get a machine that you are allowed to print money, officially. You get this machine, you can choose, okay, how much do you want to print money? 50 euros, 100, 200, 500. Okay, whatever bills you like to print is there. And you get this machine, it's for you to use, the money that you print is yours. It's fully legal, no taxes. What you print is yours. And you get this machine. What do you do with the machine? You put it in the cellar, cantina, or you place in the center of the living room, with a toilet nearby. And you make sure that it runs 24/7. Because there is another condition. Whoever lended you this machine, it's not yours. Someone lent it to you. With one condition, whenever the person that gave you the machine requests, you need to give right away back. You cannot say, oh, sorry, I'm still finishing my million, wait a minute. No. It's like, the moment that says back, it's back. So we don't know. Maybe we can hold this machine for 1 hour. Maybe it stays with us for 20 years. So what we do with the machine? Do we use it or we just leave it there? Because now I cannot, because I need to solve this problem. I cannot print the money now because my foot is aching, and I cannot print the money now because I need to watch the series of this and that, and I need to do this and I need to do that, and I need to listen to this one and that, because you don't know what happened 25 years ago. This happened and that happened, so I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Okay? What do we do if we get this machine? We print. Okay? These conditions we have, they are not ours. This life that we have, we don't own this life. We think it's our life. But it is said that this life, it has been lended to us by the Lord of Death. And one day, the Lord of Death will come and say, give back to me. Oh, wait, I cannot. No. 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 We have nothing to able to say. This life is not truly ours because we cannot choose. I remember Lama Michel Rinpoche saying, no, this life is in the hand of impermanence. When it's time, it's time. When the conditions come, it comes. But we act as if we had full freedom to choose when to die, how long to live, as if our life was fully ours. It is not ours because we don't have the capacity to choose how long I live, how long I don't live, how it's going to be or not. And it's not ours even to the point that even if we want to kill ourselves, we are not allowed. In most of the countries where we live. So, forgetting about that point, because I think no one here really wants to kill themselves. We want to have a long life and healthy life and everything else, but how long is this life going to last? Who holds it? Impermanence, the Lord of Death, which is not a particular being, it's a metaphor. It is like we are giving an image to something that doesn't have a form. But this life is lended by the Lord of Death. So we don't know how long we'll have. And being very blunt, very direct, if we have a meaningless life, and we want to keep it meaningless, okay, then if you live a little bit more, if you live a little bit less, 1 year more, 2 years less, 3 years more, 10 years more, we are repeating the same loop in a way or in another. But if we have the opportunity to make real changes deep with ourselves, virtuous, positive changes deep within ourselves, if we are able to change our dynamics on a deeper level, to really, die a better person that was born. If we have the conditions for that, then we cannot waste it. Because the day we die, it's not finished. It's like waking up the next morning with total amnesia of the previous day. But I still live in the same house. I still have the same inner and outer resources. So what I do up to that day, it's giving me the tools to what I'm going to do tomorrow, if I remember the past or I don't. So death is just a passage. We continue after it. And what continues is our deepest characteristics. It are the predispositions of love, of compassion, of stability, of anger, of jealousy, of fear, and so on. For example, I have made a very strong commitment to myself. I do not want to be reborn lazy. I don't want. It's enough for this life. Because when we are born, do we have predispositions or not? Sure. No, I just had 6 puppies of dogs at home. Today, the last 2 left for Nepal. They are now in flight, going to Kathmandu for Papunka Rinpoche. So it is a connection for all of us from the center and so on. But another moment we can talk about puppies. But I saw that them, you see the 6 little dogs, they have their own predisposition. One is more jealous. The other one gets nervous. One is always calm. The other one doesn't care what happens. But if someone comes near, then he gets nervous. We all have our own predispositions. And I don't want to be reborn with a predisposition for laziness. So what's the only way how I can do that? Is I need to change it? No. It takes time. It's not easy, but I'm putting my effort into it. So once we have this incredibly precious opportunity that we don't know how long it's going to last, what shall we do with it? Shall we take it for granted, or shall we give our best shot? We need to give our best shot because there is no other after. Or better, there is others, but I don't know if we were going to have the same conditions or not. So, where do I want to go? One of the wonderful things that we have is these masters or beings, holy beings, people, call whatever way you want, that have reached a state of peace that is much beyond our own understanding. And they have shown us what to desire, what to aspire. And they have been kind enough to put this into words and into shape and into colors and into form for us to connect to it. Okay. So, let's make a very basic exercise. We look up. What do you see mainly in this temple, this Gompa? What is a pattern that repeats? Starting from the ceiling. Colors. Right? I have colors. How many colors? Mainly 5 colors, right? So we have yellow, red, green, white, and blue. Why there are 5 colors? because there are 5 directions, 4 plus center. It's an answer, but actually something more. We have 5 aggregates. It's showing us how to transform our own self. It's showing us our own potential. And it's showing us also, we have the families of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, which are showing which are the defilements that we have and what are the qualities that we do have that we need to develop in order to reach this ultimate state of peace. That is symbolized, all the colors, all the mandalas, which is a more specific way of showing all of this, they all enter and conclude, they all, absorb into the center. Okay? The central pillar, symbolizing our central channel, is where everything comes together. So basically, why we need 5 colors? Because we need to separate in order to understand. Otherwise, it's only one. It's the union of everything. So, let's make one very simple exercise. Allow yourself for a moment to picture your own life. Okay. So, just, observe and try to picture, to see in front of you all the different aspects of your life, basically your body, the material situation in which you live, the place that you live, the people that you interact with, the responsibilities you have, the functions that you fulfill, the interactions that you have mostly. Okay? And try just to have a clear picture. Look at your own life. And now we start to apply, starting from Amugasidi. Imagine how would your life be? Your life. Same body, same situation, same job, same. But how would be your own life? Allow yourself to imagine if you had no more fear. If you had no more uncertainty. If you have the ability to have clarity and certainty in every action. Imagine how would be your life without jealousy or envy, but instead with a profound joy from recognizing and seeing the virtues and the joys of others, and also of oneself. How would it be if basically your character, your emotions were in balance, your compositional factors were pure? Imagine how it would be if in your life, the same life as it is, if there was no more arrogance. How would be your life if there was no more the need to compare yourself with others to see yourself? With pure humility, which is the capacity to see oneself without needing to compare yourself with others. How would be your life if you would experience things not feeling superior or inferior? Placing yourself in service of yourself and others in the same level. Imagine your life having no more miserliness, but the joy to share freely and openly your knowledge, your experience, your body, your wealth, and everything that you can. Imagine life in a state of equanimity, where you are able to perceive clearly the similarities between things, where you can see that everyone is different, but yet they're all human beings. You can see that they are different, but yet they all suffer. They all want to be happy, and so on. Imagine your own life free from anger. Same situations, same physical and reality, family situation, but imagine yourself free from resentment, in peace with your past, present, and future. Imagine yourself with patience, without ever losing your balance due to situations that you cannot accept. Imagine yourself stable, that external situations cannot shake your emotional state. Finding yourself with harmony and in a profound, spontaneous, joyful state. Imagine yourself in your life free from insatisfaction, free from unlimited craving and attachment and desire, endless desire. Imagine yourself fully satisfied with a profound peace that comes from it. Respecting interdependence. Directing your mind clearly, free from any form of distraction, able to direct your own energy and mind single-pointedly, effortlessly. Imagine yourself being able to communicate purely in a way that others can understand without needing to make much effort. Imagine yourself having a correct discernment, seeing things clearly, seeing what is impermanent as impermanent, and so on. Being able to see the specific characteristics of everything while yet seeing the similarities. Imagine yourself in harmony with yourself and others, without the attachment of how things should be or should have been, in harmony with interdependence, understanding the perfection that is there in the present moment with all the complex interdependence, and yet with the full awareness of the power of every action and every thought and every moment. Imagine that you live your life perceiving effortlessly the interdependence of causes and conditions, of parts and the whole, of the basis of imputation and the imputation of the name. You see and experience this subjective reality as subjective. And by that you see the power of every interaction, and you interact with a spontaneous awareness, living in a state of profound harmony and peace with yourself and others, within a state where you can perceive and see clearly everything that appears to you. Okay. Can we imagine that? Yes? Part of it? Okay? Okay, that's what we want. That's what I want for you and for me. Okay? That's what 5 Dhyani Buddhas are showing us. So, if I want that future, now I need to apply myself in the present to go into that direction. And it's interesting to see that the most powerful part often is not walking, but is reminding ourselves clearly where we need to go, where we want to go. So in the practice of self-healing that we will go through these next days, and we will practice it, and we will explain parts of it, Lama Caroline also, we will go through these different positive states of mind and being, and how to develop them, how to cultivate them, to identify ourselves with them. And maybe if by the end of these days, and at one point you have this passion, I want to have this experience, I want to be like that, but I don't know how. Even me feel a little bit frustrated, that's good. I don't want you to be frustrated, but if there is this little, I want so much, but I don't know exactly how to make it work right away, I also don't know. I don't think there is a shortcut, but there is a gradual process which truly works. And this process, our gurus have put into a structure, using visualization, using sound, recitation, which directs naturally the mind, using our own breathing techniques, okay, in order to connect ourselves, using archetypes, in order to connect ourselves and nourish and develop our qualities, in order gradually, truly to develop them. Okay, so that's what self-healing is finally about. Okay. Try to repeat this exercise of imagining yourself realizing the qualities of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. Okay, and then it's possible to go deeper into more detailed aspects, but in a general way, that's already quite a lot. And once we are able to imagine it, once we are able to feel it, then we go for it. Then we feel differently. Okay? So, sometimes Buddha's teachings are divided into 2 main groups within the Mahayana teachings. And it's called Gyui Tekpa and Drebu Tekpa, which is the vehicle of the cause and the vehicle of result. The main difference is that in one of them we focus on the cause, and the other one we focus on the result. Finally, we go in the same place, okay? It's a different technique. In the Vajrayana Buddhism, from which practice of NgalSo Self-Healing is part, we focus on the result. It is called bringing the result into the path. Am I free from anger and jealousy and envy and in a full state of peace and harmony and satisfaction? Being very sincere? No. But what I do is that I act, I imagine as if I was, and I allow myself sincerely to go through that experience, to imagine it. And by that power, we gradually believe more and more in it, and we feel the taste of it, and then we want it even more, and then it becomes part of our life. And the more I imagine that I am it, more I gradually become it. Okay. So, in order to be able to do it, I have one practical advice for these days. Okay. When we talk about meditation, it is said there are the 2 main enemies of meditation that are in Tibetan, Chingwa and Gerpa, which is the mental dullness and mental agitation. Mental dullness is we are half asleep, The mind is foggy. We don't see things clearly. And mental agitation is our mind jumping from one object to the other, but actually there is a level of anxiety behind. When we try to meditate, when we try just to be where we are, what do we have more, foggy mind or mental agitation? Mostly mental agitation. Our mind is jumping from one object to the other. Okay? That's very common. I made a connection in my mind some time ago, which I think it fits quite well. When we experience something that we like very much, let's say that I drink water when I am very thirsty, or I eat something that has a very good taste, or I have any particular pleasure of our senses, okay? Or we are able to gain something we wanted so much, or anything like that. So nice. When it finishes, does it bring us to stay in a state of satisfaction and bliss? So nice, I had it. Or it generates an inner state of anxiety of how to get it again. Which one of the two? The second. Some time ago, maybe 1 year ago more or less, last summer, I went to a place in the mountains nearby here. On the, Monte Rosa, on the other side there. And one evening, I was hungry and were looking for a place to eat. So I was in a small village, and all the restaurants were completely packed. I was walking the whole day, so I was quite tired and very hungry. So I went to, was an interesting experience. I went maybe to 10 restaurants at least. Go to the door of everyone. It was closed. No, it was full, no place. Then one restaurant there was place, but they didn't accept dogs, and I had my dogs with me. Okay. Finally went to one restaurant, which was open, and there was place. But then there was a big issue. The food was too good. I don't know if it's because of this pilgrimage of restaurants before, and of not finding easily a restaurant, and when we found one, we said, oh, finally, and everything looked so wonderful, maybe because of the whole process that came before, or because they had some very nice cook, or whatever reason, the fact that the food was simply wonderful. And it was a big issue, because the next day, not even the next day, the next hour, I was already thinking, oh, where do I eat tomorrow? How can I get such nice food elsewhere? I even came to the point that I was downloading the app of Michelin, that I never ever looked at in my life before, to see, oh, maybe, I can find a nice restaurant to eat something so nice again. So what type of inner experience it left me? Bliss or anxiety? Anxiety, mental agitation. I need it. My mind was going around it. How I'd get this nice food again. Where can I eat it again? When will it be possible to eat it again? Oh, maybe I get there, but that's maybe too expensive, I cannot afford. Or maybe there is here or that. And then the mind, it's busy around it. Okay? That's an example of mental agitation. Okay? It's interesting that mental agitation, it's very, very similar to what is the result of when we experience a strong shot of dopamine. Dopamine, from a physical, chemical point, is what happens in our body, chemically, when we go through strong pleasure. The stronger, the higher is the amount of dopamine that we experience. When it finishes, the lower we go within satisfaction, with this anxiety that I need it again. Why do we have this? No, our body is not stupid. So why do we have this pleasure and then after it brings us to this state of insatisfaction? Let's make one example. When we eat sugar, when we finish eating the sugar, we feel in bliss for the rest of the day or we want more? Normally? We want more, right? My understanding of it is that, is sugar important for our body? Yes, in the right amount. In the right amount, it's important. And how easy is to find sugar in nature? Not so easy. Okay, so forget about the past 100 years. Before, for the past few 100,000 years, whenever someone was able to get some sugar, it needed a lot of effort. It was not something easy. So when you got the sugar, it gives you this pleasure that made you the strength. I need to repeat it. So I am able to, climb the mountain and go here and do all the process necessary to do it again because, oh, that's so good. I need to repeat it. Okay. So it actually it interacts with our reward system. I'm able to put effort. I'm able to do something because it was so good and I need to repeat it. And that little anxiety makes us move in order to get it again. Because if we had no bad feeling when we are hungry and no particular pleasure when we eat, would we ever eat? Me, no. Why do we eat? Because being hungry is not good, and eating is nice. Okay? That's our own survival mode, how we are build up somehow our body. Okay? The problem that we have is that nowadays the level of stimulation that we have of pleasure, it's much, 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 much higher than it used to be for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So, let's say that I can have two pleasures. One that takes no effort to get, and the other one that takes quite some effort to get. Which one do I choose? More effort, right? No. We very much live by the law of the less effort I make and the more comfort I have, the better I am. Which is really a big illusion, but we believe in it. Okay? So, if I can get the pleasure by making no effort, why should I put effort to get it there? I will not. So what is happening to us is that we have this we have very easily pleasure in our hands. For example, when you take a small baby, what does the small child like more? What gives excitement to the child? What gives dopamine to the child? Sound or silence? Or sound or silence? Sound, right? Whatever, okay? Then, if you need to catch the attention of the child, what do? You go there and stay in silence. And you make all sorts of sounds, okay? Then, movement or stillness? Movement. Color or black and white? Color. So, what gives children attention? What catches children attention? Color, movement, and sound. When you put these three things together, you have video. Okay? We are made in this way, since we are very small. But the problem now is that we have this type of, excitement, this type of pleasure in such an easy way, It's not the liberation in the palm of our hand. It's truly our condemnation in the palm of our hand, in a way, Because what is happening is that we can have dopamine so easy, pleasure so easy, but our experience is the more I have, the more I need in order to get the same level of pleasure. And the more I have, the less I am satisfied, the bigger come my anxiety. So unless we start to disintoxicate ourselves from our, how do you say in English, our dependence, our addiction to constant dopamine, to constant pleasure, by what we see, by looking at news, by going to the phone at every moment, by needing to be listening to something, by needing to be watching something, unless we allow ourselves to get bored and to relax within it, and to be able to go a little deeper and allow our mind to rest, unless we stop cultivating that part, really, and we disintoxicate ourselves from it, forget about meditation. It's not easy and it's not possible truly to meditate. I'm not saying well, I'm saying to meditate. If we are in this strong state of mental agitation, of this anxiety from a habit, from an addiction that we are into. So, turn off your phone. Use it as less as you can. Keep it in your room. Try to use it once a day for what you really, 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 really need. If you are brave enough, try getting out of the house without a phone. It's possible. In a very remote past, many people did it. You can make it also. Okay? Try not to post anything online for a week, if you are brave enough. Oh, but I have so many people following me. Let them follow themselves a bit, Try to be with yourself. Try to stop, because there is another crazy thing. We have our ego. Most of us, we see ourselves through the eyes of others. We are constantly looking for approval since we are little babies. So we repeat that pattern online. Very often people post stuff not because of what they want to share, but because they need approval. They want approval. And this is creating this dynamic which always I need more, and it's never enough. And this all is creating the same process of mental agitation. So let's try to disintoxicate ourselves. And just to conclude this part, there is, maybe these days we can talk a little bit more about it, but just to go through it, there is another two words which nowadays have become a little bit well known. We have dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Okay? Serotonin at one moment was very famous as being the hormone of happiness. Okay? But the interesting thing is that dopamine comes mainly by taking. Serotonin comes mainly by giving. And serotonin, the way how we experience is inner satisfaction, is this inner feeling of fulfillment, of I am fine, I have enough, that's good, wow, I'm good, And the interesting thing is this happens when we share, when we give, instead of when we take. And we are in this crazy idea that we are going to be happier if we can have what we want, how we want, when we want. And finally, it simply doesn't work because we are not that smart to know exactly what's the best for us. And the more I go into this loop of I want and I need and what I want and how I want, then anything that is not exactly as I want, already a reason to suffer. We need to personalize everything. Because it needs to be how I want, in my own way, in my own words, in my way. Come on. When we care about the other, when it's not everything about me, it brings to us a much deeper level of well-being. So selfishly speaking, it's better to be altruistic. But let's not even talk about altruism, just talk about sharing, about seeing the others, about including the others and seeing how much we receive. So let's try during these days that we have together at least to go less on dopamine, more on serotonin, and also on oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone that the mother has when the child is born, that makes the mother forget about the pain of the birth at that moment. And it's this hormone that comes from connection. It comes from hugging. It comes from looking at each other's eyes. And it gives this feeling of being part of something, of connection. It's a very special feeling also. So let's try to cultivate that aspects. To allow ourselves to trust each other, to look at each other, to hug each other. To allow ourselves to share, to give. Instead of taking, instead of I, me, and myself. That's tiring. We don't need to go into that way. Okay? And I'm not even talking from the perspective of Dharma teachings of Lojong and so on, where selfishness is the cause of all suffering, which it is, but I'm talking about a chemical point of view even, which our body is showing it clearly to us. So please, we need to disintoxicate ourselves from, this constant stimulation of our senses. And one of the main objects is the phone. Is this connection with internet. I don't know, how many times have you opened a web like Google and not knowing what to ask? Or nowadays, this was the beginning of Google, of internet. Nowadays, you just enter into whatever page and just go through it without even knowing what you want, but you just want to have that feeling. I believe I am somehow a balanced person. And I have normally one of the things of observing my own mind and somehow being able to direct it well. And I saw so clearly, a few months ago, I was at home, and it was, I can even tell the date, it was more or less around the 13th, 14th of March, because it was a few days after the puppies were born. And for the first week, someone needs to be the night together with the puppies because otherwise something can happen, whatever. So I was awake at the night, and I was not feeling sleepy. So what I did, I took the phone. I had nothing really to look at, really, because I had no clear mind to do anything meaningful, really, at that moment. Of like reading an email or writing something or reading something. So I just took and I went inside YouTube. And I saw one thing, the first time I saw these YouTube shorts. I said, okay, let's see. And I was there. And suddenly I realized that I entered into samadhi. This deep meditative state, Everything around faded. And there was just these little dances and little sounds and little videos of all sorts of things repeating, and these people making these dances and whatever similar music that it sticks to your mind. And when I saw, 3 hours had passed. And I wanted to say stop, and I couldn't. I was there. I was hoping something else to happen, someone would call me to save me from that state, But it was in the middle of the night. Nothing else was around happening, I needed to have all the strength only from myself, and I couldn't. So at one point I was exhausted, and I stopped it. But the really worst part came the next day. The next day, I woke up, I do what I normally do, and then there was a moment in which I had nothing particular to do, like a few minutes in between something. And what did I wanted to do? Go back there. I took my phone and I was ready to go to this, and I said, no, stop it. And I saw how easily I could be trapped into it for a long time. And I think we have all experienced. Okay? And there we are saying how meaningful is our life and how precious is human life, and there we are, That's why I would just make it public, but something that I am very much convinced, I'm just looking for the best way how to do it with alternatives. I truly want to take from center and so on out of all the social media channels. Because in my understanding, from what I saw, it's like if I make you the question, can cocaine be used in a positive way? Answer? Yes. For example, a doctor is already working for 40 hours without stop in the emergency, and then suddenly comes a patient that needs a very difficult surgery. But after 40 hours awake, doing so many things, the doctor has no clarity of the senses whatsoever. Can cocaine help in that moment? Yes. And some doctors do use it. But will this protect the fact that it's being a good use, let's call it this way, will it protect the doctor from all the side effects and the addiction that is being created and all the negative that comes out of it? No. In the same way, using positive content within a certain style of addictive system doesn't take away the addiction. It's not because I'm giving you a beautiful Dharma message that you look for a fraction of a second that I am taking away the negative aspect of this drug that we have. It is a drug. On a chemical aspect, I'm not talking about like it's like a drug. No, it is a drug, according to my understanding. So I don't want to be part of it. It's just a matter of, okay, we are so much into it, but how we do without? We have done for centuries. And I'm not against technology. I love technology in so many ways, but not when it turns against us. And someone may say, oh, but if you use it in an intelligent way, we are not that powerful. Try to use cocaine in an intelligent way. You will not be able to. We get addicted to it. Once you get addicted, it's gone. Very, 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 very few people are able just to look something specifically what you need and finished. Especially if you want to meditate, if you want to make your life meaningful. If you don't care about meditation, if you don't care about having control over your own mind, if you don't care about directing your own emotions, then okay, entertain yourself and whatever you like. Somehow it's better to see stupid things in the phone than being gossiping about someone else's life sometimes, But if you want to do something a bit more meaningful, we need to be able to hold our life in our hands, to have our mind in our hands, and not to be completely overwhelmed. And the worst thing is when we are addicted and we don't know and we don't accept. I saw addiction in myself. In the moment that the next day I wanted to go to that view, that's a clear sign of addiction. For example, I got the addiction with the phone, with news. When I open the news app, why do I open the news app? Being very sincere. Because I want to know what is happening, or because I get that pleasure when I see something new. I am interested about what is happening, but once every 2 days, once a day, let's say, even if we want, that's more than enough. But instead of what happens, when there is a moment in between something, I take the phone because I want to get that nice feeling. That's a sign of addiction, according to me. So we need to protect ourselves. Okay? Because the basis to practice Dharma deeply is having a healthy mind. If we really want to practice Dharma deeply, if we really want to go serious on the path, we need to cultivate a healthy mind. And we need to protect ourselves because very easily we enter into certain habits. Our mind has been molded in a certain way for thousands and thousands of years, We cannot just be above it. It's the same thing, you give tons of sugar to children, after you complain they have difficulty concentrating. We give like tons of kilos of sugar, and then we give also infinite distraction at all the time and so strong senses of stimulation all the time. And then you want the kids to sit there and concentrate for 1 hour, when we are not able to do it. Just look at the difference of a movie from now and from 20 years ago. Which one is faster? The other day our friend over here, he was saying that some studies are showing that in the past 10 years or something like that, in most of the cities of the world, people are walking 10% faster. We're always running. For what? To go where? To do what? So we need really need to take our life in our hands and give a direction with awareness. That's part of our self-healing process. Understanding what is not good to us, and we need to avoid it. And cultivate what is positive. So I just invite you during these days to make an effort to do that. Okay? We did just now with the kids last week. The teenagers, they made their own choice. Do we want to keep the phone or not, and how many hours? And one day I remember there, Massimo, he was so proud with his plastic bag with all the phones inside. I would be very proud if I had the phone of every one of you in my plastic bag for one day, I would feel very happy. Actually, I had one day the idea, we were doing the retreat, and then sometimes there were phone ringing during the retreat, and I said, that's not good. Okay, object to practice patience. Then I thought to buy one box that have a timer. So whoever's phone rings in the Gompap goes into the timer, 2 days. You cannot take the phone anymore for 2 days. But anyhow, actually I am very, very rigid in some ways. And if I allow myself to go in that direction, then it doesn't fit so much. So, anyhow, just to say, please take care of yourself, each one of us. We need to protect ourselves, we need to take care of ourselves, and take care of our own mental health and physical health. That's one of the bases for our path of self-healing. That's part of self-healing. Okay. So we do our conclusion now. Today, I was busy yesterday and this morning because one of our masters of our lineage, Kyabche Paponka Rinpoche, he's living in Nepal, and many months ago he said he wanted a puppy from my dog. No? So okay, he requested that, so we did all the thing around, we find the right mate, and we did, and she got pregnant, and then got the puppy. There's a lot of work behind it. I never thought it was so much work. And today they left for Nepal. So right now they are flying, these two little Nima and Dawa. So Rocio and Alaor accompanied them for Paponka Rinpoche. And Paponka Rinpoche said, it will be very auspicious for me and for the center as a whole, for our Sangha, for these two dogs to go there, to make connection. We call a substance of Samaya, to make this connection. So just to say that this is not something that regards only me, it regards all of us, directly, indirectly, okay? So just to share and to connect with this, because, you know, even with the greatest masters, we are humans, and there is a human connection that opens door for many other connections also. So this is also important, okay? Then from tomorrow I will be here in the normal timing all the time here. Okay? So we do now our dedications. Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkara tinle chokchur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi Drove munsela takto ne gyurchi kewa kuntu yanda lama dang dralme cheki pela longche chi sadan lamge yente rabzone dorje change koba nyurtobasho nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan dele Ninsen takto delekpe koncho sumki chingi lobo koncho sumki ngodrubutsol koncho sumki trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and spring all the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. All'alba o al tramonto, di notte o durante il giorno, possano i tre gioielli concederci le loro benedizioni, possano aiutarci ad ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e cospargere il sentiero della nostra vita con molti segni di buon auspicio. Serve tercen resi drime kempe wampo jampe liang du pong malu jom tse sangweda kanchen kepe tsogen tsongkapa lo sang ang trakpe shabla asolwade. Buon appetito, buonanotte. See you tomorrow. Ci vediamo domani.